G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at Narbash in Monolith. Narbash is, and always has been since his release, my favourite character in the game. I just love this guy. There is something about throwing drumsticks at people's faces that just agrees with me. I don't know what it is. So we're going to take a look at his abilities and his stats, and then move on to the deck, and then move on to a little bit of a guide on how to play him. So if you're going to find this video helpful at all, if you enjoyed it at all, please drop me a like down below. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or suggestions. Subscribe for more content, and have a look in the description for the full build. But with that out of the way, let's get started. Okay, so first up, we're going to be taking a look at his abilities. Alright, so first up you have his Wallop, which is his basic attack. It starts with 70 damage. It has a refresh of 1.5 seconds, so you can hit every 1.5 seconds. Okay, it does scale at 0.3, which means that for every point of damage that you put on, you only get 0.3 of that, so you get 30% of the damage put on by cards, and every level you gain an extra 2 damage, which means that without putting any damage cards on, you will end up at 98 damage, but we're not really worried about that because he is a support. Okay, his general stats are that his health is 500 and he gains 67.43 per level, ending at 944.02 at level 15. His health regen is 1.2 with an additional 0.2 per level, a little bit over 0.2 per level, which ends up at 4.09996. He starts with 280 mana and gains 68 per level for a total of 1232. His mana regen is 1.3 and he gains 0.27 per level, or just over, to equal 5.0996. He has 8 basic attack armor and gains 1 per level for a total of 22, and he has 20 ability armor and he gains 0.75 per level for a total of 30.5. So if we move on to his actual abilities now, we first up have Thunk. Okay, now Thunk does at level 1, 85 damage, a 0.9 second stun, and it costs 90 mana. At level 2, it does 130 damage, it stuns for 1.1 seconds, and it costs 105 mana. At level 3, it does 175 damage, 1.3 second stun, and costs 120 mana. And at the final level, it does 220 damage, 1.5 second stun, and costs 135 mana. It has a cooldown of 12 seconds standard. So all of the upgrades, it's just 12 seconds across the board, and it has a scaling of 1. So every point of damage you put on, you get towards this ability, but once again, we're not going to be doing that because he is a support. Next up, we have March, which is a speed boost for people in the aura around him. At level 1, it gives a 65 movement speed buff, and it has a 24-second cooldown. It lasts for 3 seconds and costs 75 mana. Now it lasts for 3 seconds across the board, and it costs 75 mana across the board. At level 2, it gives a 90 movement speed buff, and it has a 20-second cooldown. At level 3, it gives a 115 movement buff, and has a 16-second cooldown. At the final level, it gives a 140 movement speed buff, and it has a cooldown of 12 seconds. Next up is Song of My People, which is something that has been completely changed since the recent patch. I would normally not take this unless I absolutely had to, and I would pretty much never use it. But it's actually not that bad anymore. So has a cooldown of 1 second, which is negligible really because it doesn't really even matter. It says it has a 2-second cooldown, but it's actually 1 second. It's a bit weird. Okay, so at level 1, you can regen for you and your allies 10 health per second, and it costs 11 mana. At level 2, it is 20 health and it costs 22. At level 3, it is 30 health and it costs 33. And level 4, it is 40 health and costs 44. So next up we have the big boy move, the Crash Bang Boom. Okay, this causes a movement slow of minus 500, so they're pretty much not moving. Okay, and it deals damage over 3 seconds. Okay, at level 1, it deals 280 damage and has a 100-second cooldown. At level 2, 390 damage and has an 85-second cooldown. And at level 3, it has 500 damage and 70-second cooldown. Now this costs 150 mana across the board, 3 seconds until the knock-up where it ends, and it scales at 0.6, but once again, we are not worried about that whatsoever. So that's his abilities out of the way, so let's go on and have a look at the deck. Okay, so here we are in the support god build, and oops, I have kept that on. I was stuffing around and I kept my damage OP card on. We actually want the Centurion as our prime card, okay? These consumables here are kind of not important. I'll get onto them in a second. I don't generally ever really use the Shepherd's File, it's just there in case I'm backing and I have an extra point. The healer token I do use, but we'll get onto that in a second. Okay, so considering he's a support, we're going to take the Circlet of Health first, always. We don't tend to keep it too long anymore because it's not really that great. It does sort of help at the start of the game though, okay? Now, the first card that I get after that is generally my Brawler's Ward, and I just get it stock. I do have a Minor Strike on there, but that's just for the early game. We end up getting rid of this later on because we roam a lot and just help everyone. Okay, so first up we get the Circlet of Health, and then we get a Brawler's Ward, and we don't actually upgrade it. If I have 5 points, I will put my healer token on, which just allows me to sustain in lane and help my carry a lot more early on in the game. Okay, and then we have the next card, which generally is the Tempered Plate. So I'll back at another 6 points, and I'll get a Tempered Plate with 3 lesser healths. The next card that I will get at another 6 points is a Celestine Diamond with 3 basic sparks, which just gives us a little bit more mana and a good bit of mana regen at 1.2. Okay, the next card that I generally go for is my health, which is a 12-point Amulet of the Veteran. Okay, it's really expensive to build health these days, so I don't always build it straight up, or even if I do, I don't generally max it out first. It's always suggested that you do max out your cards to get the fully upgraded bonus, but sometimes I just don't do it because it's really expensive to build these cards. Okay, so the next things that we have a Tempered Plate and a Lantern of Spring. Okay, these are giving us our guard for our basic attack armor, the little bit of health which is negligible, and 0.6 mana regen. Then we have a Tune Barrier at 9 points, and we have a Genesis Torch at 9 points to give us another 0.6 mana. Okay, so the Tempered Plate has 3 guards, the Tune Barrier has 3 barriers, the Genesis Torch has 3 barriers, and the Lantern of Spring has 3 Divine Guard or Greater Guards. The last card that we take here is the Chronomancer's Disc, which is going to replace our Brawler's Ward at the end of the game. And it has 2 basic manas and a mana. That gives us all the mana we're going to need, really. Maybe could do with a little bit more. And 10% cooldown reduction as a unique bonus. Now this may not seem like much when you're looking at sort of 12-second cooldowns and whatnot, but that 1.2 seconds, you would be surprised the amount of times where having my slow or my thunk 1 second earlier could have saved someone's life. So it does actually come in handy, and it is going to take off more than 7 seconds for it's going to take off 7 seconds for your ultimate ability. Okay, so just to recap it, we start off with our Circlet of Health, and then we try to back at 3 just so that we've got vision and get a Brawler's Ward, but if we do have 5, we'll grab a healer token. Okay, I don't even most of the time worry about fully upgrading this at all, and if you want, you can just put 3 basic mana on it, it'll work just fine, and you can upgrade it if you like. Okay, the next card that we take, as we said, is our 6-point Tempered Plate with 3 lesser healths, and then our Celestine Diamond with 3 basic sparks or basic chronos. Then we go for a 12-point Amulet of the Veteran with greater health. We have a 9-point Tempered Plate with all guards. We have a 9-point Tune Barrier with all barriers. We have a 12-point Lantern of Spring with Divine Guards or greater guards. We have a 9-point Genesis Torch with all barriers, and then we have a Chronomancer's Disc with 2 basic mana and a mana. Okay, so that is the build out of the way. So we'll go over to some gameplay and just talk roughly about how to play this godly support. Okay, so here we are in lane. We are playing this match with Grim, Freaky, a little mate of mine. We make an actual pretty decent duo. He He knows what I'm doing the majority of the time, and I try to know when he's ready to push. A lot of the times he has to try and catch up because I get fairly aggressive. But as I said, here we are in lane. We're laning against a solo crunch. Okay, now my job here is clearly to keep Freak alive. It is to create opportunities for him and to bully the shit out of Crunch. Okay, your job as a support in this lane is to stop this guy from farming, keep him backing as much as possible, and just generally annoy the absolute shit out of him until he feels unsafe pushing up whatsoever. A few of the games that we have, we've played against the exact same person in off lane 3 matches in a row, and it just got to the point where they just would not leave their tower, and that is when you know you're doing a good job. Just whether you get kills or not, it is not important. Just harass the shit out of him, stop him from farming. He's still going to have his white camp on his side of the map, so he's going to farm that. He will get a few last hits, but just generally annoy the shit out of him. Another thing to do is to ward this area here behind the shadow wall and de-ward. As you notice, Crunch just coming on my mate there. I knew he was going to be fine until I got there, and then we were going to punish him for getting pushy. He knew I was there, he shouldn't have even tried that, and I ended up picking up the kill there, I believe, which is not exactly what I wanted. You want to feed that kill to your carry, you want to get him as strong as possible. Okay, now here he is again coming to attack me because I'm low health, and we're once again gonna punish him for it and make him wish he never came down to this side of the map. Okay, Mimidian is actually a really good player, so he knows what he is doing, but still just getting punished. Now, we're at the point where we've actually taken a tower and we're starting to roam, and we're just making sure that the two of us together are working with the lane that we're in, and I'm keeping him alive, giving him movement buffs, giving him targets by stunning them, and using my ult. Once again here, just running in and just coming in and cleaning up kills. Okay, I should have actually been there earlier on this stage and kept Chimera alive, but unfortunately I had died and only just got back. So make sure you're using your wards in the early game. We're going to get rid of them on this build, but put them in some key spots behind the fog walls. Rotate as much as you can once you've taken your first tower to secure kills. Okay, peel for your teammates because you're going to be able to cover a bit more damage than them. Make sure you keep them in the fight by speed boosting them towards people. And I'm not exactly sure. I decided the ult was the best bet there, but yeah, he's a support role can be quite boring. Let's be honest. You're not going to get the most kills. I find with Narbash you do actually get quite a lot of kills. But generally you're not going to get too many, but it is still very rewarding knowing that you set up the plays that secured all the kills. Once again with his amazing ultimate just slowing everyone down. Gideon coming in with a clutch ult there as well on Chimera. And this game we're actually doing really well. We're securing a bunch of kills. We're going to take Orb Prime after we get kills. That's one thing to make note of. When you do secure a few kills, you should be going and calling to go and attack Orb Prime. If your teammates are high enough in CP and they have enough health, and you can tank a bit of damage, you should be going and taking Orb Prime. Don't waste moments where you wipe a team or half wipe a team. Go and take advantage of it, take Orb Prime, take all the buffs, invade their jungle, take all their farm, okay, get stronger. And if you do get Orb Prime, do not waste it. There's too many times where a team will grab Orb Prime and they will all back and they'll slowly push a lane and it's an absolute waste, okay, so make sure you take as much stuff as you can. So my team has pushed left lane here and I just decided to come through and push middle because they were quite strong. Their enemy team's ADC was down. We're going to be fine. I noticed that I think just there that that Kai is engaged Freak. Freak is actually doing a remarkable job in staying alive right there, but Chimera goes down and he goes down as my teammate goes down. Oh, that was the enemy Kai that went down, my bad. And our Grim went down, but we are not going to let that slide, and I do not want my Kai to die. So I'm going to get his health back up a bit so he does not have to back. And just continue roaming Anywhere I see anyone pushing, I will run to them. Like right now, we're going to head over to the Gideon and we're going to support him. So just use all these abilities, keep people CC'd, keep your teammates moving forward, keep them in the fight, keep the enemy team slowed. You'll find that Narbash is actually the best support character in the game. I know a lot of people disagree with that, and a lot of people actually thought that he was trash in Legacy, but I am not one of them. I've always loved this fella, and he's only gotten stronger. He's a remarkable support character, and this build will serve you well. You will have the mana regen, and the health and armor to get shit done. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please drop me a like down below. Leave me a comment if you have any questions whatsoever. As I said before, the build guide will be in the description. So subscribe for more Paragon content. Thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.